be here. We could just keep going.
Yeah, but one point we did not address is the deficits and the debt. So if you can just address that in your response as well.
I mean, you're going to find no disagreement that the debt and deficit is one of the most urgent issues of our time. And look, President Trump has submitted budget after budget to Congress that would balance over 5 to 10 years. And look, Kyle and I will agree on this. One of the ways that we can balance our budget is ending these silly and reckless and morally objectionable foreign occupations of countries that we shouldn't be in. We can agree on this. And by the way, 2 things of this, done with an elite force of foreign fighters, thanks to President Trump's asymmetrical foreign policy. The leader of ISIS is dead in the last 24 hours. That's a thing that we should applaud. And by the way, that was done with an elite fighting force, no need for a foreign occupation. We can both applaud, the death of an ISIS leader that was totally and completely evil. And so, look, the debt and deficit, I'll tell you, we need dramatic spending cuts, and we need to, shrink the size and scope of government. We can talk about that at length. I think we're here to more talk about things that are happening in real time with President Donald Trump. I want to make 3 points about what Kyle said about the tax bill. Number 1, Republicans in Congress tried to make the tax cuts permanent, and the Democrats objected to it. They filibustered it, and they never allowed it to happen. That's number 1. So I agree that the tax cuts were not permanent for the middle-income workers, but it was the Democrats that prevented it from actually becoming permanent in the last 18 months. Number 2, you talk about corporate tax rates and the percentage of the budget. Well, for those of us that understand and have studied the Laffer curve, we're actually seeing revenues go up. We have record numbers of revenues in the federal government go up because...
And why is the deficit growing?
Well, it's going because we're also increasing spending on ridiculous foreign occupation wars, something that I'm against. Okay, so we'll agree on that. We're increasing spending, but we're also cutting taxes, so I'm a big believer that we should cut taxes and cut government. So if you're going to... My philosophy is quite consistent. I think that it's better in the people's money when they earn it, it's not government's money to take it. But the second thing I want to make is this, is that the corporate tax rate, as it was lowered, so it was lowered from 38% to about 22%, we're actually seeing compliance go up. So you cited the 1950s. So the 1950s tax rate was marginally ineffective, 2 different things, but it was over 90%, right? And
no, I'm talking about the corporate tax. I wasn't talking about the marginal tax rate.
Oh, you're not individual. Okay, I stand corrected. Then the corporate tax was about 40%, 50% in the 1950s. But
it accounted for 33% of all federal tax
revenue. Right, so now we don't have the numbers yet in, but it was 8% last year. It's projected to exceed over 13 to 15% because now corporations are complying with the actual federal tax rates, because that's what happens when you lower the tax rates. Less people put their money overseas, and more people comply with the actual laws on the books. The third thing, I want to get to some philosophy really quick.
I'll let you respond just real quick. The effective rate went from 23% to 12%, so that's not true. The effective rate went down under Donald Trump.
Corporation or individual?
Corporate.
12% for corporate tax rate?
Yes, the effective corporate tax rate went from 23% to 12%.
Should be 0%, but yeah, that's perfectly fine.
That's a very unpopular position. Please proceed.
And I'm happy to elaborate on it. And this is a bigger philosophical point, and this is where Kyle and I will find no agreement whatsoever, respectfully. Is it our money or is it government's money? And that's a really important discussion to have, because you frame this as the creation of wealth is somewhat of a bad thing. I'm not going to try to mislabel what you're saying, but just because someone got rich does not mean anyone got poor. In order to get rich in a market society means that you have to employ people, you have to have a good idea, you have to voluntarily sell it over a long period of time, people have to purchase that product, you have to continue to prove yourself, you have to probably buy property or rent property, you have to get money flowing through the economy. Just because someone got rich does not mean they went around and stole the money away from people. Wealth creation in a market society requires innovation, entrepreneurship, something that makes every single person in this room richer. So when someone gets rich in a market society, they did not pillage and plunder and get that money with putting guns to people's heads. Instead, they were creative, they were entrepreneurs, and they were innovative, something that should be rewarded. And so that's where the philosophical difference is. You look at wealth creation as something that might be bad. I don't want to mislabel it, but
that's not what I think.
Your preferred presidential candidate says billionaires should not exist. I believe that every single person in this room that is using an iPhone, that goes to Amazon.com and uses Google and Facebook, your life has been made better thanks to the profit incentive that only someone that could become a billionaire is made possible. A market economy is the greatest, most assured way to create wealth for all people. Socialism is much more about hating the rich than helping the poor. I yield my time to Kyle.
All right. Okay.
That, folks, in a nutshell, is the perfect embodiment of what capitalism is all about. The premise that you always have to stress about capitalism, because somebody got rich, does not mean that somebody got poor. If I gave everybody $1, there's 10 people in a room and I gave everybody $1. Everyone's got $10. I come up with an idea that I decide to charge somebody $3 for, and 5 people like that, okay? And I'm sorry, give them $10 each. $10 each in a room, $10. Everyone's got $100. I come up with an idea that I decide to charge somebody $3. 5 people like it. So 5 people now come up and give me $3. So I get $15. Now I've got $25. They've got 7. But they got something that they wanted. Nobody put a gun to their head to buy that. Nobody. And the other thing that we've got to basically say is that everybody talks about government money. Money to the government, what the government is going to spend it on, what the government is taking it from. It's not their damn money. It's our money. It's the people's money. Wealth has never been created by government. Wealth has only been squandered by government. That's it. That's the only thing government is good for, basically. Right now, is squandering the hard-earned money that tax people have earned, that taxing the people has earned. And it's confiscated at literally gunpoint, the government gun. And we give it to them every April 15th and every day for all kinds of other taxes that we pay. So right now, Kyle's got to come up with the receipts to counter this from what Charlie has done. Otherwise, this round is going to go to Charlie, and we're going to get to Kyle's response in just the next few seconds. But this is what we have in tap for you folks today. This is what we have on tap for you. It's Kyle Kulinski at Politicon versus Charlie Kirk. You're watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasser, where I give you my political prescription from my political perspective of what happens when these things collide, like a leftist, Kyle Kulinski, with a conservative and someone on the right, Charlie Kirk, when social media, corporations, taxes, government, policies, religion, culture, all come colliding together. Let's get to more of the debate right now.
From your favorite, well, he's president now, but wrong. That's what I have to say to that. So I just want to test your theory real quick on wealth creation here. So I'm going to give you 2 facts. I just want a yes or no answer. Jeff Bezos has over $150 billion. There are 50,000 homeless veterans in this country. If you could take 1% of his money to end homelessness for veterans, would you do it?
I hope he gives it voluntarily. I will not put a gun to his head.
That's a no.
And I'll tell you why. First of all, that's a false choice. That's a false choice. Let me tell you why.
It's a thought experiment,
because
bro.
we have spent hundreds of billions of dollars to try to solve homelessness by taking money from the rich over the last 40 years. You want to solve homelessness? Stop electing Democrats. The city likes Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland.
Donald Trump is president, and we have 500,000 homeless people. That makes no sense.
I don't actually love Amazon.
They weren't created under Donald Trump, you stupid fool. God almighty. They just throw this crap out there.
Jeff Bezos, but you're starting to make me like him even more throughout the course of the debate. Jeff Bezos did not make his money going around city to city with automatic machine guns stealing people's money away. Half this room probably uses Amazon on a weekly basis. You have to be innovative. You have to be an entrepreneur. He employs hundreds of thousands of people in an extraordinarily competitive market. He did not get it by being a robber baron. That's how you get rich in countries that are socialist countries.
Wrong.
To get rich in a capitalist society, you must have a good idea. People must believe in that idea and continue to purchase that idea over a long period of time.
There's this thing called a social contract.
No, there isn't.
A simple thing.
When did I sign that, Kyle? I must have missed it.
Okay, well, you can go live in Somalia where they have none. Good
All
luck.
right, so you believe in the Rousseauian theory that all of us are nothing more than a collective. I disagree.
I didn't say that. I said there's a social contract.
Who do you think wrote the social contract theory?
Well, I thought you liked the Constitution. I thought you liked our founding fathers.
Right, the Constitution that talks about, this is so important. The Constitution actually rejected social contract theory. It said our rights come from what? From God, not from government. That government should not infringe upon your rights. The Constitution rejected coercive government action. The United States Constitution
The crowd just absolutely went ballistic right there, folks, for Charlie. He just smacked him twice, thrice. I mean, really, he's bringing the receipts. This is unbelievable. Kyle Kulinski is absolutely getting skewered here right now.
Rejected the idea that actually the entire United States Constitution was a warning sign against having government come too much infringing of our rights. This is the actual philosophical debate of our time. Because Kyle, you look at the entire political kind of system and you say, okay, there should be more government action because we must look ourselves first and foremost as a collective. Therefore, Jeff Bezos, the only way he was able to get that amount of money was eventually try to exploit people over a longer period of time. I look at that and I say, wow, that is a beautiful thing that someone is able to create that much wealth for that many people. And guess what?
And not pay his people a living wage until we forced him to.
Hold on a second.
All right. We'll let Charlie finish and then you'll have a response and then we'll move on.
I believe in private collective
You can tell the leftists in the audience, all right, that are over there that basically hate that, but they're all using Amazon, right? So they all say, you're not paying the Amazon workers properly, but you're still buying from Amazon. If you feel that strongly about it, then you should basically say, I'm going to boycott Amazon. I'm not going to buy anything from him because I feel that he's being exploitative on his wages. And by the way, folks, forget about the social contract theory. There's the actual contract theory that when you signed up to get a job at Amazon, you signed up for that. You knew what that hourly payment was. You knew what that payment was going to be weekly and monthly or salaried if that's what you're at. You signed the contract. If you don't like that right now, then you either decide to work for someone else or, you know what, or you go through the proper channel to see if you're worth a raise. Anyways, let's continue.
bargaining. I also believe in a booming economy. We have more job openings than people to fill it. If people at Amazon are quite happy, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that Amazon's the worst thing in the world, she was responded to by Amazon worker after Amazon worker and said, our wages are going up. We have wonderful living conditions.
With Jeff Bezos standing right behind them.
Well, again, I want to make myself perfectly clear. I'm actually highly critical of Amazon, and I'm really glad they didn't get the $10 billion taxpayer-funded contract for their company. However, I will take a definitive stand against the demonization of wealth creation in our country. Because,
yes.
You're doing
because
that. You're talking to yourself.
Well,
You just said that thing, Kyle. You just basically called out Jeff Bezos for not creating wealth and for exploitative aspects of his company on his workers. And then you basically say, I'm not saying that. Come on.
preferred candidate says billionaires should not exist.
But you know what that means, Charlie? Somebody could have $999 million and they're still really rich and they're going to be okay.
So let's talk about this.
And we could give people health care and we could give people college.
So let's talk about it. The rule should not be how do we not have billionaires. The rule should be how did we create $22 trillion of wealth in this country? Is it because we have the most people? No. Most natural resources? No. It's because of a market economy that embraces risk-taking, entrepreneurship, and the individual. Countries across the world have tried everything from exploitation and stealing money away. India has more people. China has more people. The only reason China is able to get any sort of form of economic growth, they tried state-run coercion, is they actually embraced more market principles over the last 15, 20 years, despite the evil communist Chinese party. Kyle, here's the question I have for you, is do you believe when people create a certain amount of wealth from Facebook or Google or Apple or Home Depot or Amazon, the companies that everyone in this room use, Coca-Cola on down, do you believe that's inherently exploitation, or do you believe they had to get that through voluntary transaction and enriching people all the way along the way?
I don't believe it's inherently exploitation. But I also believe we need rules and we need referees. And I also think
I totally agree with
I
that.
see shades of gray where you see black and white. And your whole thing is like, oh, the free market is so great, it's so wonderful.
Important point.
No, hold on here. Because I'm actually the real moderate on this because I think sometimes the answer is the free market. And sometimes, yes, the answer is government. Government is not inherently evil either. Government has done a lot of good things. I mean,
so look.
I would ask Kyle, who the hell is GD government? Who the hell is government? It's people like you and me that have been put into place as a job in government. What is this? Government's this freaking entity out there, this kumbaya, this nirvana? Who is government? It's always this government. Big G, big G, big G. Government is nothing without the confiscation of wealth from us, the people, to make something that we call government.
That shouldn't be controversial. If you believe in having the
I-
military, you believe in the government. If you believe in having paved roads, you
I'll
believe
find
in the
agreement
government.
and all that. But right now, as things stand, we have a fourth branch of government, and you'll agree with this. We have a fourth branch of government. We are the most regulated economy in the Western Hemisphere outside of some of the Western European countries. Federal Trade Commission, the Employment Prevention Agency, which is also called the Environmental Protection Agency. We have agency after agency, hundreds of agencies with unelected, unknown, and unchecked bureaucrats. And guess what? They favor the power of the well-connected, the few, and the rich that are able to afford the lobbyists. And you look at the, so Kyle, here's another question that I'm just always perplexed by.
He wants to ask us a question, so let's let him jump.
No, I mean, it's fine. Okay, but so you say, Charlie, I look at things as the way they are. We right now spend over $1 trillion of our own money to regulate the economy. That is far too much money. The best regulation is competition. The best regulation is encouraging more entrepreneurship. The best regulation is empowering individuals to be able to compete against the big power brokers that you think that need to be disrupted.
Okay, so let's move.
Wow, wow, wow. Kyle literally got freaking destroyed in that episode there, folks. That part of the debate, I mean, that was like, that was like two swordsmen dueling. And Charlie just scoring point after point after point. On guard, on guard, on guard. Like you see in the Olympics when they do fencing, and every time they touch a part of the suit, they get different points for that. I don't think Charlie got touched. I mean, he might have been scraped a couple of times. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. But Charlie just he delivered the receipts, not only about the Trumpian economy, but just on overall the Constitution. He defended the rights of billionaires, defend the rights of corporations, capitalism. I mean, everything that was out there, he just had all the receipts, and literally all that, Kyle could do was literally backpedal and throw out a couple of things that, yeah, you use the market economy. Yeah, I sort of agree with that, but that's not what we were talking. We were doing something different. Folks, that was a lesson in what not to do in a debate as far as Kyle Kulinski is concerned, and what you do in a debate to win. You follow what exactly Charlie Kirk did there. Literally, unbelievably, just obliterated, completely dominated that part of the debate. Anyways, we appreciate you taking time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. A few minutes already, and you love our channel and you got some great content out of it, go ahead and hit that subscription button, like, share, and follow us. You all know what to do. Check out the other videos we have on our links above and below. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.